Hello students, after completing a mechanism of catalysis and about enzyme catalysis, let me continue the surface chemistry next part about the colloids. Here you have to understand what are colloids, what are the components in colloids and the classification. Before we move on to the preparation and properties of colloids, in today's class we study what are colloids, how they are classified and what are the components. Okay, now to begin with, a very simple example you can consider. Suppose if I take a water in a container, I will add some solute like a sugar to that. Now what happens? Sugar dissolves in water. It will become a true solution. You studied about the solutions in detail. It will become a true solution, means the particle size is very small. Okay. Now instead of this, suppose if I take water and I add a starch. We know starch is insoluble in water. It will become suspension. Here the particles are larger and the particles will be settling down after some time, or we can say it's not a starch, I am telling some other particles which is larger size if I consider, that will be settling down, and that is called as a suspension. Okay. Now imagine about the emulsions like milk. Here the particles are not too small like a true solution. It is not too larger which will precipitate down. Okay. Now the particles are suspended. The particles are distributed, not suspended. It is distributed in a continuous medium. Okay. Now this intermediate stage or this intermediate system is called as a colloid. Okay. So major difference among the solution, colloid and suspension is with the particle size, and the second one is about a distribution. Okay. So when I used about a distribution, in case of the true solution, or we call it as a crystalloid, the particles are uniformly distributed, so you call it as a homogeneous mixture. Okay. And in case of a precipitate or suspension, the particles will settle down after some time and it is heterogeneous. Okay. Now the basic question you will ask, if true solution is homogeneous and precipitate is heterogeneous, what about a colloid? Is it a homogeneous? No, it is also heterogeneous like the precipitate. Okay. So how to define colloids now? Colloid is a heterogeneous mixture in which the particles are distributed, a substance is distributed, that we call it as a dispersed phase. Okay, I'll use a short form DP, that is for dispersed phase, in a continuous medium. The particles are of small size only, but they are distributed in a continuous medium, that is called as a dispersion medium. So along with the definition, I told you the two components in colloids. Okay, you remember in solution there are two components which you know from so many years. What are the two components in solution? Solute and solvent. Similarly, in case of colloid, there are two components. One is dispersed phase, one more is a dispersion medium. Okay. Now, when I told you the particles size is in between that of the true solution and the precipitate, you will ask what is the size of the particle in the colloid. Okay. Now students, remember, if the particles are not visible even under ultra microscope, in case of true solution, the size of the particle is less than 1 nanometer. Remember, in case of a true solution or in generally in solution we say size of the particle is less than 1 nanometer. Okay. In case of precipitate, what happens? The particles are easily visible. It is visible to the naked eye also, and the particle size is more than 1000 nanometer. Okay. So when I told you the range of size of the particles in these two systems, you can easily guess what is the size of the particles in colloid. Okay. So it is in between, means the size of the particles in case of colloid is in between 1 to 1000 nanometer. Okay. So what is the range of size of particles in case of colloid? It is 1 to 1000 nanometer. Are you clear? So we understood what are colloids. Okay. It is a heterogeneous system in which the small particles, that is called a dispersed phase, are distributed in a continuous medium called a dispersion medium. So as a part of definition we understood colloids consists of two components, dispersed phase and dispersion medium. And one more important thing, with respect to size of the particles, The particle size in case of colloid is between 1 to 1000 nanometer. Are you clear? So this is easy about colloids as a basics. Now, once you understand what are colloids, so many examples you can give, like a protein, the enzymes, many of the cell, if you study in a plant cells or animal cells also, the various components present within the cell. Okay, if you say about the nucleus, they are all present in the colloidal system, like they are present with the size of the colloidal particles. Okay, now after understanding what are colloids, now let me move on to the classification of colloids. Okay, classification. Okay, so there are three different bases for the classification of colloids. The first basis, based on physical states of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay, based on the physical states of, I use a short form, dispersed phase and dispersion medium. You already understood what are the two components in a colloids. The second basis for the classification is based on nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay, the second basis for the classification is based on the nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. The third basis for the classification is based on nature of particles, okay, of the dispersed phase, how they are arranged. Based on the nature of the particles, there is a third basis for the classification. Okay, so remember, colloids can be classified based on the physical states of a dispersed phase and dispersion medium. They can be classified based on the nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. They can be classified based on the nature of particles also. Okay, is it a single molecule present? Is it a smaller particle aggregate and forming a larger particle, or they associated, something like that, based on that. So based on the physical states of dispersed phase and dispersion medium, there are 8 types of colloids. Remember students, in case of second basis, based on the interaction between dP and dm, dispersed phase and dispersion medium, there are 2 types, lyophilic and lyophobic, and on the third basis there are 3 types of colloids. Okay, so this is basics about a classification. Now we will discuss these classification one by one in detail. Students, now let me continue with the classification of the colloids. I told you there are 3 bases for the classification. The first one is based on the physical states of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. You know there are 3 physical states, solid, liquid and gas. And if you think about the different combinations, actually 9 types of colloids possible, but I am telling only 8 types of colloids are there. Now you will ask, why not the 9th one? The gas present in the gaseous medium, if both the dispersed phase and dispersion medium becomes a gas, then it becomes a homogeneous mixture. Okay, the 2 gases may be reactive or may not be, but they become a homogeneous mixture. We understood earlier, to become a colloid it should be heterogeneous mixture only. So with that reason, there are only 8 types of colloids possible. Okay, so remember here it will be asked for 1 mark. The type of colloid may be mentioned, what is a dispersed phase or dispersion medium will be asked, or any one of the factor like a dispersed phase or dispersion medium, or if both these are given and what is the type of colloid, or the another possibility is example will be given to which category of colloid it belongs to. That way question may come. So try to understand. The first one, if the dispersed phase is a solid, dispersion medium is also solid. Okay, solid distributed in the solid medium, then the type of colloid is called solid sol. Okay, solid sol, and one of the examples for that is a gemstone. Okay, so many coloring gases, colored gases also possible. For examples for this only. Okay, the ruby glass and other type of glasses which is used for a decorative purpose comes under the same type. So solid distributed in the solid medium. Remember, type of colloid is solid sol. Okay, the second one, if the solid distributed in the liquid medium. Okay, you can easily understand the example of paint or ink. The continuous medium is a liquid in which the solid particles are distributed, and the type of colloid is called sol. In this chapter, most of the properties of the colloids we discuss with respect to sol only. So remember one example, paint. Okay, the third one, if the solid distributed in the gaseous medium. Okay, smoke is a well-known example, and the type of colloid is called aerosol. So continuous medium is a gas in which the solid particles are distributed. Okay, so with that, solid as a dispersed phase over solid in solid, solid sol, solid in liquid, sol, solid in gas, aerosol. Okay, now to go to the next one, if liquid present in the solid medium. Okay, the cheese, jellies, you can give example. That is a type of colloid, we call it as a gel, where the dispersed phase is a liquid and dispersion medium is a solid. Okay, next, if liquid present in the liquid medium, both the dispersed phase and dispersion mediums are liquid, then it is called emulsion, which you studied before also. Milk is a well-known example for emulsion. Okay, the many creams you can say in the same category. Now the next one, if liquid present in the gaseous medium. Okay, now you can see here the aerosol word repeats. Earlier we used to say solid aerosol and liquid aerosol separately, but even when the liquid present in the gaseous medium, it is also called aerosol. Mist is an example for it. Okay, now with that, liquid as a dispersed phase is over. Next comes a gas present in the solid medium. Okay, the type of colloid is called solid foam. Example is a foam rub. Okay. Now the last one, if gas present in the liquid medium. Okay, the continuous medium or dispersion medium is a liquid in which the dispersed phase is gaseous particles or gaseous molecules. Now the type of colloid is called as a foam. Soap lather, you can give example for that. Okay, so remember, it is very easy to remember, but remember it systematically, because any one of this will be asked, not all. Don't expect a question, explain the classification of colloids. Okay, one more question when it comes from this. Okay, you have to know the 8 types of colloids: solid sol, aerosol, gel, emulsion, solid foam and foam. Okay, with respect to the change in the physical states of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay, in a competitive exam the questions will be asked like butter is an example for which type of colloid. Okay, or what is a dispersed phase and dispersion medium in butter. That type of question if it comes, then you should know what is a dispersed phase and what is a dispersion medium in any of the given substance. It may be naturally occurring substances like a protein, starch and all, or it may be synthetically prepared also. Okay, so I think you understood the first basis for the classification of colloids, that is based on the physical states of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Nothing is there to understand much, you have to remember here. Okay, now let me move on to the second basis for the classification, that is classification based on the interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay, so whenever you look at the word lyophilic and lyophobic, you heard before electrophilic, nucleophilic, such words. So philic means having a tendency. Okay, so in simple way, lyophilic means liquid loving species. So they have a force of attraction between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium. There is a force of attraction. Okay, so lyophobic means there is no force of attraction. I'm not telling that there is a repulsion, but they are independent. Okay, so lyophilic means liquid loving, lyophobic means liquid hating in a simple way. But how the lyophilic colloids differ from the lyophobic? It can be asked in a different way, just a definition or the differences also. Okay, so what are lyophobic colloids? What is lyophilic colloids? First try to understand what are lyophilic colloids. Okay, simple. Suppose if I take example like gum, gelatin, starch, etc. If I add it to a liquid, okay, it will be converted into the colloid easily. At the same time, if you evaporate that liquid content, okay, and if you separate the dispersed phase and dispersion medium, you can reconstitute that, means you can prepare the colloid very easily. Okay, so why it is happening? Because there is a force of attraction existing between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay, lyophilic colloid is a colloid in which there is a force of attraction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. I told you already, even after separation of dispersion medium from dispersed phase, we can get back the colloid, so it is a reversible. Okay, suppose if it comes for 1 mark among lyophilic and lyophobic, which is reversible, remember lyophilic is reversible. Okay, I told you already, it is easy to prepare. Okay, among the lyophilic and lyophilic is easy to prepare. And one more important property we study about a coagulation or precipitation later. Now, whenever you add some electrolyte to the lyophilic colloid, it is not easily converted into precipitate. Okay, now why it is not easily converted into precipitate? Because it is more stable. Okay, so one more point you have to remember after understanding about the reversibility, lyophilic colloids are more stable. More stable means you can't convert that into precipitate easily by adding some electrolytes. Okay, now example you can remember gum, gelatin, etc. Okay, that is usually the naturally occurring colloids. Some synthetic colloids also like nylon, you can say polythene, that also becomes examples for lyophilic colloids. Okay, so once you know about lyophilic colloids, it is easy to understand about lyophobic. You can easily remember comparatively. In lyophobic colloids, the process of getting that is irreversible. Means once you prepare them, if you separate them, getting a lyophobic colloid is very difficult. So it is irreversible. Okay, they are also called irreversible colloids. Second thing, it is less stable compared to lyophilic. Okay, because if you add some electrolyte to this, it will be easily undergoing precipitation. So compared to lyophilic colloids, lyophobic colloids are less stable. Okay, so simple examples like metal or its sulfides becoming a sol, we discuss later in the preparations of colloids, like a gold sol, it's an example for a lyophobic colloid. Are you clear? So this is a second basis for the classification based on the interaction or the nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. There are two types, lyophilic and lyophobic. So you understood the definition. In lyophobic, the dispersed phase and dispersion medium are independent. There is no force of attraction existing. Okay, and remember other 2 points as a differences. Lyophilic is reversible, whereas lyophobic is irreversible. Lyophilic is more stable, lyophobic is less stable. And the ease of preparation, if you say, lyophilic colloids can be synthesized easily. Okay, whereas preparation of lyophobic colloids is not so easy like lyophilic colloids. Okay, so that is the second basis for the classification. In the next class, I will continue with the third basis, that is based on the type of particles, how the colloids can be classified. Okay, I hope you clear. Just remember the classification of colloids. Okay, thank you.